Now, when I talk about us going back to slavery, many of you all get upset. Many of you all get emotional and you say it will never happen, it's impossible. But what I tell you all is the truth. And so many of you all believe that your emotions or your feelings override the truth. I don't say these things to make you get upset or to feel bad. I tell you these things to get prepared and change the current course of actions. Again, this is not about how you feel. This is not an emotional discussion or topic. I'm telling you what these people have planned, and I'm telling you all how they use racism against you. They're pushing this racism narrative to blind you from the truth. And the truth is they are planning to put you all back in slavery. Now, the CDC has these what we call green zones. And these green zones will be created to stop the spread of COVID-19. Now, I'm letting you all know right now, they're going to be concentration camps. And the basis of them is to slow the spread to the rest of the population. So their goal is to quarantine the most at risk for COVID-19 in these green zones. Well, who's the most at risk? I'll tell you. Who's the group of people that catch COVID-19 more than any other demographic in the world? Okay. Who's the group that is the least likely to get the jab? Okay. So now, what I told you all is that they're going to segregate you out of society. And now you're going to see the plan in full swing. So these green zones will be designed to basically quarantine the most at risk of catching and spreading COVID-19. And we all know who that is based on the narrative they've been saying this entire time. You see, they gave you a whole racism narrative. They said the reason why you're getting COVID-19 the most is because of racism. And the reason that you aren't getting the jab is because of racism. So what does this mean? This means when Joe Biden says he's going to get the UN to come over here and investigate racism, this is the racism they are talking about. They are not talking about giving you land. They are not talking about giving you reparations. They're not talking about giving you an economic infrastructure in your community. They're talking about this racism. They're talking about racism as it pertains to the Peter pandemic and the jab. They even admit that doing this is going to actually spread the virus even more. And they also say this will also increase domestic violence. Now, once in these concentration camps, because that's what they are, once they put you back into slavery, because that's what it is, they're going to separate the groups. They're going to separate the men from the women. And they also say this might not even work. So I'm just letting you know what they have planned for the indigenous, melanated, or black people of America. This whole racism narrative they've been pushing is for a time such as this. So now, when the UN troops show up to put you all in concentration camps, and then these patriots, these rednecks, and these Trump supporters start going against them, the media is going to tell you that they are racist. The media is going to tell you that the patriots, the Trump supporters, and the rednecks are racist for going against the UN. Meanwhile, those same UN troops will be putting you in these concentration camps. And you all will think it's for your good. You're going to have free housing, free food, probably cable, Wi-Fi. They're going to make it very appealing for you to go to these concentration camps. But in actuality, it will just be slavery. Now, they're talking about you staying in this camp for a minimum of 6 months. But here's the catch. If you don't get the jab, then you're still at risk and you can't leave. So the only way to leave the camp is to get the jab. Now do you see the setup? Now do you see why this whole racism narrative is so dangerous for us? This is why I keep telling you all that nobody actually believes it. And the moment that you all realize that the same people pushing this racism narrative don't actually believe it, the sooner you will be free from this bondage. Now, they're telling you to hate white people, not because white people are bad, but because the white people are going to fight against this tyranny, against this communism, against this dictatorship. So they want you to be at odds with them and not unify with them. This whole race narrative is about division. They don't want the people unifying and going against this one world government. So let's recap what I just said. The CDC is going to create green zones. Green zones are not zones where you can smoke good marijuana. Green zones are not zones where people actually care about the plant life and the environment. Green zones are not places where vegans get together to have fun. Green zones will be created for the most at risk of catching COVID-19 and spreading it. The group right now that fits that category is the indigenous, melanated, or black population of America. The group that is most likely to get COVID-19 and least likely to get the jab. Once in the camp, you will not be able to leave unless you get the jab. Now, I want you all to consider that 48% of the United States is uninhabited. That means there isn't anyone living in almost half of the country. So these places could already be set up in these areas. But if you're focused on race, you can't see any of this stuff. And you're going to be blindsided because all your favorite media outlets are going to tell you to go down to these green zones. All the people that you love and admire that look just like you are going to tell you to go down to these green zones. In other words, everyone that you trust is going to lead you to the slaughter. You have to be against all of this. You can't say, well, this part's real and that part's... No, you have to be against all of this because the goal of all of this is to usher in the mark of the beast. And in our community, the demographics that are getting the jab are the liberals, the Democrats, the educated, and those that want to be on the scene. Oh, and let's not forget those of us that are entertainers or professional athletes. I've been telling you all along that to be black is to be controlled. Do you understand that if you fall into this whole black ideology, you will be controlled? They will have you going back into slavery, and they will do it in the name of fighting against racism. So my advice is that you take one day, just for one day, don't be black. And I guarantee you will see the truth.
This is the direction the world is going in at the present time. In our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. The sex instinct will be eradicated. We shall abolish the orgasm. There will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
Wait for it, free blast, get money.